Jane Kelly from On the Wing, and I'm here with Dan Gardoqui. I'm gonna go like this. And Dan is a naturalist. What's the name of your company?
Lead with Nature.
Lead with Nature. Yeah. So he's gonna lead us through the woods right now and show us some fun things that I typically would not find. And I feel like I'm following a bird dog right now because he is just running around finding all this cool stuff.
Well, to be fair, Jay's finding half of the cool stuff. So we just came out of a large, tall grove of white pines here. We're on the edge of a big wetland. It's a beautiful spot back behind Jane's place, and then we found a couple of feathers. So we first found this little feather like this, right? And then we started finding more and more and more, a whole handful. And there were all these little white splashes on the forest floor. They kind of look like someone squirted glue. Right, and there's a little patch here, a little patch there, and a little patch there, and we started seeing a lot of these, and then a lot of these feathers too. And then we started to wonder, like, well, it looks like maybe there's a bird of prey out here, because our, birds, as like bird poop is that kind of white stuff that ends up in your car. Sometimes there's black stuff in there too. But these were big, so we thought this is probably like, one of these raptors, an owl, a hawk, or something like that. And then sure enough, Jane digs up one of these puppies right here. So, as her dad would say, you're holding on to puke. So yeah, this is a pellet. So as probably many of you know, if you're following Jane, that raptors and actually a lot of birds regurgitate.
Yes.
A ton, even from tiny little things like phoebes occasionally. Basically a bird that can't, if there's any undigestible parts of a meal, a bird has the option of regurgitating that stuff up, kind of coughing out this, kind of like a cat. You have a cat, watch a cat kind of cough up a hairball. It's a very similar process. And this pellet here appears to have really, I think we're seeing maybe some squirrel whiskers in there, these sharp little black things. There's some femurs. There's, it looks like here there's a incisor, a curved upper tooth, probably from a rodent, probably one of our squirrels. But these are fun because you can pick them apart. You can soak them or just carefully pick them apart, wash your hands really good and stuff when you're done. But you can learn a lot about what our wild neighbors are eating out here. And how they're connected in that way. So that's kind of fun.
Okay, so everyone that is just, connecting right now, we've got Dan Gardoqui with us, and he's a naturalist, and he's going to explore through the woods and point out some fun things, and he'll probably share some of his bird calls, which are amazing.
Sure. Well, right now we got... Kind of sounds like a cross between... Almost like it's saying cheer, 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 cheer. He's right. You're not going to be able to get him.
What kind of bird is that?
There's a little gray bird with a little crest, a little pointy kind of triangular head. And he's known as a tufted titmouse. He's right over us. They tend to be rather easy to call in. So
he's right above us. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys can see him. He's right there. Did he move? He flew. Dang.
He's right there.
Oh, he's right there.
They're rather easy. They're very territorial, so I don't want to do too much because I'm afraid I'm going to get him really crazy.
Yes, yes.
Because he's busy right now, right?
Yes.
He's trying to find a mate and all that good stuff. So thank you, Titmouse, for visiting us. Almost sounds like a cardinal. Cardinal's more like a... And then this guy's more like that.
God,
so,
Dan, you're amazing.
They both have pointy little heads, too.
Yes.
Hi.
A little crown.
The woods are just alive with this beautiful green right now, this young green. We got these gorgeous little beech trees that are all flowering, and this time of year actually the beech is one of my favorite spring edibles, but since I've been holding poop, I'm just going to use my mouth to bite it. The young leaves of the American beech tree are very tender and delicious this time of year.
Really?
Yeah, you can use them like a salad green. Once they get about 3 or 4 inches long, you get a little acidic. And depending on the soil they're growing in, they can also taste quite different. But
wow, they are delicious.
there you go. See, I'm not pulling your cord here.
That's insane.
Yeah, free wild food, free salad. So I'm exploring the base of the large diameter trees in this forest because often the largest trees in the forest attract a lot of animals, birds, anything from bears to shrews. I mean, these tend to be places where a lot of critters interact. There's some beaver sign over here, but there's another feather
Ooh.
We have another very, where in the body would that have come from, Jane? What do you think? It's super soft and fuzzy.
Yeah, that I feel like that's around the pantaloons, like
The
around,
pantaloons.
I call them
Nice.
pantaloons.
Right, you have a pantaloon feather. I love it. I've never heard that. That's awesome.
Skirt feathers.
Yeah, so I'm just looking for scat maybe, or
Here's some
disturbances. Oh, great. That's what we were talking about before, the little glue squirts. So here we have some nice uric acid kind of spray or droppings from an owl. And, as you know, Jane spends a lot more time with these birds than I do. I mostly look at the things they leave behind. So for me, when I see a splatter like this, that's kind of like, looks like it came straight down.
Yes.
Versus a spray backwards, that might be a long strip. That makes me think probably more like a perched owl.
Yes.
So it tends to just plop. Versus a lot of our hawks who tend to raise their tail and spray. And I'm sure Jane's experienced that thousands of times.
Yes. Owls poop cleaner.
Owls are a little easier to clean up after, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So the uric acid that Dan was just talking about, the white is actually the black or the green or the brown is the urine, right? And the white is the feces, the poop part. Ooh, what's this?
So yeah, we have some old rotten white pine logs out here. It kind of drew my attention. There's a lot of acorns on these, and this year was such an amazing bumper crop for acorns. And when we study acorns closely and we look at them, you can often look at acorns and tell a lot about who's been eating them.
Really?
By the way they've been eaten. So these acorns almost look like someone who kind of a little jigsaw and went all on the inside versus just broken up into little strips. So when they have all sorts of detailed kind of bites and grooves and marks going here and there, that's usually the sign of someone with very tiny teeth who has a head that's so small it can fit inside the acorn and eat out all that nut meat.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, versus a bigger rodent, like say a squirrel, has to just kind of crack them and split them open.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a sign of mouse. We have a number of different mice that live in the wild here: white-footed mice, deer mice, jumping mice. But white-footed and deer mice tend to be acorn specialists. There's a lot of mouse poop that's going to be very hard to see. It's just tiny. You know what mouse poop it looks like. It looks the same it does in your house in the woods. So yeah, I was just curious about that that concentration of acorns kind of grabbed my
So what created this whole texture in this pine?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
The growth pattern of the trees, basically you have years and years of annual growth that like grows in these layers, and as the tree eventually rots and dies, breaks up into these little chunks just like this. It's not at all uncommon. Sometimes that's facilitated by insects that are in there feeding on it, and but this is just dried old cellulose and lignin, the inside of a tree. It's been laying here a long time.
Wow.
And maybe underneath we could find more interesting. Oh, actually it's been laying here that long. I'm wrong. It hasn't been laying along at all because everything underneath is in good shape.
Yes.
There's even some greenish, well, yeah, a little bit. So this must have fell pretty
recently during one of the winds.
Yeah, it's pretty dry under there too. It's not even wet.
Ooh, what could live in there?
Yeah, so holes, right? Everyone loves looking at holes in the woods. Like, what is it, a snake hole? Is it this hole? Kids love asking about holes. So this hole, one thing you'll notice is that around this hole, there's no big piles of dirt.
Yes.
And this hole kind of goes straight down for a bit, and then it turns. So when a hole goes down straight, no dirt around the edge, and then it turns, and it's about the size of a little bigger than a ping pong ball, kind of between ping pong ball and say racquetball. That's usually going to be eastern chipmunk around here.
Really?
So yeah, the chipmunks. And we've been hearing, Jane and I have been hearing the chipmunks as we're walking around. They're giving their little alarm call. That's how they got the name chipmunk, because they go chip, 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 chip when you're walking around in the woods.
So tell me, where does all the dirt go that the chipmunk moves out?
Chipmunk fills its mouth with that dirt as it excavates the holes, and then it runs off and spreads it out.
Okay.
Yeah, just like Mama Robin disperses her eggs, right? Her eggshells when the young are born, and all the other birds disperse the fecal sacs of their young. They don't want to attract attention to their homes, so they spread out any evidence of their homes across the landscape.
Do squirrels do that too?
Well, very few of all our squirrels.
Oh, they don't dig.
Squirrels,
yes,
so,
yeah.
I mean, the red squirrel will in winter make like snow tunnels and caves and stuff. So yeah, but it's kind of different.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
out west, that depends on the squirrel. So some of our ground squirrels do, and some don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. We're just kind of winging it here, folks. No beaver sign. Beaver. Yeah, we got some piles here.
Oh, what kind of scat poop
Yes.
do we have here? It looks like little blueberries.
Yeah, this one is. So this scat varies in size, and if we were to pick one apart, it would be there'll be a lot of fibers in there. A lot of kind of fiber. This is old winter scat that's desiccated and dried up from white-tailed deer.
Really?
Yeah, and it's a smaller scat for deer around here, but we are in a perfect kind of winter bedding area for deer. There's a thick canopy of oak and, pine and hemlock, which keeps them warmer at night. It's a nice cover. It's on the edge of a wetland, so they kind of know they're pretty safe from that side. Nothing's going to bother them if it's wet. Usually you're not going to get predators sneaking in off the water.
Does small scat indicate the size of the deer?
I mean, there is a correlation. Sure,
okay.
Younger deer, smaller females are going to have smaller scat in general than our bigger bucks. Yep. It's not 100%, but it's pretty helpful way to use it.
So is this another beech tree right here?
Sure is.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of beech growing out here. Looks like the beavers have killed them back, but then there's their compensatory growth. They're sprouting like mad. So even just the way they're growing, you could just walk in here, be dropped blindfolded, and say, "Oh, there's beaver here." You don't have to know there's water over there. And I look over there; it's like boom, boom, boom. Everywhere I look, all the beech trees are sprouting like mad because they've been browsed back. And hardwoods stump sprout. They send out all these sprouts on their stumps, whereas our softwoods like pines, hemlocks, larch, they won't stump sprout. They're dead. You cut them down, they're done. So anyway, not a beaver sign on the landscape.
Dan, will you do another bird call for us?
Yeah. Let's see. We were just hearing.
What is that?
So this time of year, there's a lot of warblers, little tiny wood warblers, little birds that are migrating through. There's a whole group of them, and they're kind of like little gems. Now let me do one that's actually a little better. So the one that's more common, you're more likely to hear, is one that sounds like witchity, witchity, witchity. So it goes on the edges of wetland. There was one. And that's a bird called a common yellowthroat. And look this one up because it is stunning.
Really?
Oh God, yeah. Black mask with a white band around it, and this little tiny skulking bird. Female's a gorgeous, subtle yellow and green kind of color. And they're very vocal, and they're not super shy from people, and they live at our height, so they're a good one to potentially see.
Did you hear that corvid in the background?
Oh yes.
Can you call that one in?
They're a little more complicated. Wow, that's a big old oak there. That's gorgeous.
So Linda, Bethany, Suzanne, Tom Spine, we're here with Dan Gardoqui. Is that how you say your name, right?
You got it. Yeah. So now, so before we're looking at where the chipmunks had eaten, the mice had eaten acorns. In this case, all the acorns are broken into strips. Like, see how that's like a fifth of an acorn. So this is a bigger, and up here is a perch where this animal was sitting a lot. This is probably a chipmunk who sat on this little perch, and it's a nice safe spot, and it can feed on these acorns, drop them down below, and not have to worry too much. But,
Dan, can you whistle with an acorn top?
I can whistle without an acorn top, so I don't know.
I just learned how to do it. I thought it was kind of cool.
It is great.
Well, does anybody have any questions for Dan? Oh, this looks like a woodpecker.
Yeah, totally.
Now, can you tell what kind of woodpecker?
Yeah.
You can. How?
Yeah. So in New England, we only have one woodpecker that has the hardware, the tools, the strength, the musculature to go anywhere beyond an inch or two into a tree. And so because those cavities, those holes are at least 3, 4, 5 inches, it looks like.
Yes.
That's got to be the pileated.
We have a lot of pileateds here.
They're the only ones who have that ability, that striking power to get that deep into the core of a tree.
And how low to the ground will they go on the trunk of a tree?
You can see pileateds feeding right on the ground.
Really?
Feeding on like down dead wood, on the base of trees. Yeah, they're a little unusual that way, but.
You know what I think is fascinating is that they've created a little condominium for several different species. What do we got flying overhead?
Well, it's big. We have alarm calls right here. This is alarming.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
I'm following it with the phone. I can't see it.
great look.
I didn't either. I'm sorry. It was, yeah, it was definitely.
Probably a broadwing. Look around the base of this tree. So a lot of carpenter ants in this tree, and that's what these pileatids are after.
Really?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, and the carpenter ants are all over the tree.
You're right.
Oh yeah, and you can see evidence of them because
Look
if you
at
look
that.
at the base of the tree, there's all this sawdust looking
Yes.
stuff. And as people know who have homes, they will eat away at wood in order to create places to create their own galleries where they will then have their young and live their lives. So that's why the pileatids are going on these trees. That's one of the biggest food sources for the pileated woodpecker is the carpenter ant.
So is this tree infested with carpenter ants?
Yeah.
Is it like hollow in the inside, or are there just like these runs?
There's various stages. It depends on how long they've been in there, and some trees can live with it for a long time, and some become more susceptible to being blown over and snapping in storms and such. So yeah, I mean it's a bit of a symbiotic relationship because
Yes.
symbiosis isn't always positive. It could be parasitic, it could be commensalistic, I mean it could be a variety of things. So these two do depend on each other.
So speaking of carpenter, look at, we've got a carpenter bee. And there's a lot of them last year and this year. Now, will they sting you, Dan? Do you know?
They have the ability to bite you pretty hard. That sure feels like a sting.
You've been bit?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I used to be a jerk when I was a kid, and I used to mess with animals a lot. So that's how I learned to not mess with them as much.
So he's going down in a hole down there.
Yeah. So a lot of this time of year, a lot of the larger bees, like the bombus, the bumblebee, the carpenter bees, they're looking for places to set up shop, to start their colonies.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's in wood, sometimes that's in even like an old chipmunk burrow, like we saw. A queen bumblebee might go set up shop in there and start her colony underground. It's not at all uncommon.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Yep.
You guys follow him, Lead with Nature on Facebook.
Thank you.
He is a wealth of knowledge and super fun. I will see you guys next week. Take care. Be safe. Bye.